These are the top 5 meta weapons to use for Modern Warfare 3 Ranked Play in Season 3. Like and subscribe if you use these. And number 1 is the best MCW class that all pro players are using. We're going to start with the barrel, which is the 16.5 MCW Cyclone Long Barrel. This improves your bullet velocity, range, aiming, idle stability, and firing aim stability. A lot of these will be very similar to what y'all have been building, with potentially some slight changes. Over here to the muzzle, we're going to choose the L4R Flash Hider, which improves the recoil control and gun kick control with only a slight reduction in the aim down sight speed, so that's why we're going to use this one here. To the underbarrel, we're going to use the DR6 hand stop for the aim walking speed and aim down sight speed. This is all around the best underbarrel. I would maybe use the Phantom 5 if you're having trouble with recoil control, but once you get used to it, the DR6 is going to be worth it in the long run. Over here to the rear grip, we're going to use the Claw, which helps even more with the firing aim, gun kick control, and recoil control. And the only reductions are in aiming idle sway, so this is an all-around best attachment that you can use on the MCW. And over to our optic, it's going to be personal preference between the Mark III reflector and the Slate reflector. Those are going to be your two most common options. I tend to stick to the Mark III reflector, and that's what a lot of people have stuck with up until this point. And that is your number 1 pro player MCW. As a bonus, we're going to go over to the Renetti as the secondary. Only 2 attachments on this one, which is why it's more of a bonus. We're going to use the short competition barrel to increase the movement speed with a con of recoil control reduction. And then over to the rear grip, we're going to use the Eclipser grip for the movement speed, sprint to fire speed, and aim walking speed. According to the Pro GAs, these are the only 2 attachments that you can use. If you want to add more, you can, but the pistol feels just fine like this, and you won't make people mad at you. So I would tend to use this one. While we're here, we're going to go over tacticals, lethals, field upgrades, and perks. Obviously, you have your stun grenades for your variant modes, and then your smoke grenades for your search and destroy modes. So switch those out accordingly. On the lethals, we only have frag and Simtex. I switch these up depending on strats and maps, but if you don't know particular nade spots, I would lean on the side of the Simtex. Field upgrades, you should pretty much only be using trophy system unless for whatever reason you're changing up your boots, and regardless, trophy systems are going to be way more impactful on the map, so I'd stick with those. For gloves, as of right now, I use marksman on AR classes and quick grip on SMG classes. Season 3 is updating the gloves, so once those get tested, I'll be sure to update here on this channel what the new meta becomes. What they're doing in the update is improving the swap speed of the quick grip gloves, making ordnance gloves work with streaks, commando gloves improve your sprint out speed, assault gloves improve your weapon handling, and marksman gloves now fix sway as intended. So for now, I'd still stick with marksman on AR and quick grip on subs. However, be ready to change that depending on how substantial this update ends up being. For the boots, it's pretty much either going to be covert sneakers or lightweight boots across the board. Majority of the time, even on variant modes, I would use covert sneakers just because you are so loud when you don't have them. The Season 3 update is also buffing the running sneakers to improve your tactical sprint out, and the stalker boots to improve your aim walking steadiness. Similarly to the gloves, I would stick with the covert sneakers until we can fully test out which one is best. And I have great news for you in the gear category. Stun grenades are being nerfed to where the slow effect for your aiming is being reduced. So at this point in time, I wouldn't worry about adding tac mask on any of your classes. I would stick to EOD padding across the board. And of course, in Ranked Play, infantry vest is your only option, so that's going to be your vest. And now for class number 2, we have the best Rival 9 class that all the pros are using. Going over to the barrel, we're going to choose the Rival C clear shot barrel for the bullet velocity, aiming auto sway, damage range, with only cons being sprint to fire speed, movement speed, which we're going to help with a little bit later. On the muzzle, we're going to scroll over to the Purifier muzzle brake, which helps with horizontal recoil. This gun needs a lot of help with that, so that's very beneficial. Underbarrel, we're going to the DR6 hand stop, just like we used on the MCW, to help with that strafe speed, as well as the sprint to fire and aim down sight speed, which this gun very much needs to stay fast and active as an SMG. Down to the rear grip, we're going to use the Rival Vice Assault grip for that gun kick control, firing aim stability, and recoil control. Again, all things to help with the gun's recoil. And for the stock, we're going to go to the MTZ Marauder stock for even more help with the gun kick control. And that is the pro player Rival 9 class. If you do have trouble with the recoil, one thing I would consider is going to the underbarrel. If you truly need a ton of help, I would switch to the Bruin Heavy Support grip, but I promise you in the long term, you will be happy with the DR6. You just have to get used to the recoil pattern. And that is it for the pro player Rival 9. And for class number 3, we have the fast MCW. We're gonna start with the same attachments as the previous MCW, MCW Cyclone Long Barrel. For the muzzle is where we're gonna switch it up. We're going with a billeted brake to improve the vertical recoil, firing aim stability, and gun kick control with reductions in horizontal recoil and bullet velocity. The reason we're doing this one instead of the L4R that we did earlier is this one slows down the aim down sight speed, and the goal of this class is to be as fast as possible. Going to the underbarrel, the same DR6 from earlier. The reason we're doing that is like we were mentioning, ADS speed, sprint to fire speed. This one's all about quickness. For the optic, the same options as earlier. I'm sticking with a Mark III. And the rear grip, this is where we're going with a rapid strike grip for sprint to fire and aim down sight speed. Like I said, this class is all about speed. It's not going to shoot as straight as the previous classes, but in terms of up close maps like Karachi, Skid Row, so on and so forth, you're going to be happy to use this one when you get in those closer range engagements that you're going to need to be in. And that will be it for the fast MCW. And class number 4 is the blueprint MCW. If you've noticed on some of the MCW blueprints, the claw grip is unavailable, and sometimes you don't want to use the rapid strike grip and greatly reduce the gun kick control and recoil control. So we found a class that allows you to shoot great at long range while also being able to use blueprints that aren't just the regular MCW. As you can imagine, we're still starting with a Cyclone long barrel. That's going to be a staple. Over here to the muzzle, we're going to choose the builded break again for that vertical recoil control help. Underbarrel, DR6. This is seeming very similar to the classes that we've had before, which is fine. Where this changes is, like I said, instead of the rear grip, we're going to go to the stock and choose the Regal heavy stock. This one was nerfed a while back, but it's still beneficial enough to help out when you aren't able to use a rear grip. So try this class out here when you're using a blueprint that doesn't allow the claw grip. You will thank me later. And now for class number 5 is the Wasp Swarm, the best close range SMG in Modern Warfare 3. So especially on maps like Rio, you will enjoy this class a ton. Starting with the barrel, we're going to use the WSP Reckless 90 long barrel for bullet velocity, range, gun kick control, recoil control, because this gun needs a ton of help with the bullet velocity. Over here to the muzzle, we're scrolling all the way down to the L4R flash hider. We don't want to mess with the bullet velocity like with the Purifier muzzle brake and the billeted, so the flash hider really only hurts in the aim down sight speed, which is fine for this class. Going here to the underbarrel, we're going to use the Chimera RYN03 vertical grip for gun kick control and vertical recoil control, with the only reductions being horizontal, sprint to fire speed, and aim down sight speed. And over here to the stock, we're going to use the Rampage tactical stock for aim down sight speed, aiming auto sway, and firing aim stability. This one also makes it so it doesn't mess with the iron sights like some of the other stocks do, which is another reason why I like this stock a lot. And the rear grip, we're going to use the Marauder grip for firing aim stability and gun kick control. This gun absolutely shreds and stays accurate enough to win most gunfights at medium range as well. And those are the top 5 metal weapons used for Modern Warfare 3 Ranked Play Season 3. If you enjoyed, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you next time at lunchtime.